You go middle? No, get closer.
No, it doesn't.
S. X. Y.
Hey, ni hao, Nick.
And today, oh my, bro, I don't like how we locked in and did it at the same time. And today we got humans are evolving backwards.
Yeah.
We're cooked.
Yeah.
That was bad looks.
Yeah,
that was horrendous.
Or shoot, culturally inclusive. It's good. Welcome. Feel me? Make yourself at home.
Anyways, let's just get straight into it.
Yeah,
the only species of the genus Homo that is still standing.
The what?
The standing up makes the energy better.
So much
It's
better.
actually night and day.
So much better.
After 2.8 million years of existence, with our specific species having been present for just about 300,000 of those nearly 3 million years. So less than a blink of an eye by universal standards, but a longish time nonetheless. In this long, yet not so long time frame has created—
Hey!
We both did the same joke.
You go middle? No, get closer. Okay, my turn. Well, you got to get out the frame, twin.
No, don't spawn.
Oh. I feel like that's ODU. I feel like that's ODU, bro.
Let me tell you why.
Talk to me.
Off rip nose is like 30% of the face.
Okay.
So we got to give that percentile to you.
No.
Next. Your eyes are wider than mine. We got to give that to you. So now we're up to about 50% of the face.
Okay.
Jawline. I have a stronger jawline than you. Now, okay. So now we're up to 78% of the face.
My turn. Complexion. Second thing, the dimples in your face.
Yeah,
the
cheekbone.
No. The lines. You see this line right here? Right there. So off rip. And to be honest,
I don't think that makes up the same percentage.
It doesn't.
I ain't gonna lie. I just feel like you have too many of the. Hey, you a good looking monkey though. On some shit. I'd give him banana. I ain't gonna lie.
ample opportunity for change, and change we have since those very first days on Earth. And actually, there's probably a lot more differences between us and the very first modern humans than one might think. Now, many of these differences are extremely minute and barely recognizable, with some being invisible to the naked eye, while other changes have come but then gone. And what I mean by this is that in some ways we are now more alike to the first people than other groups of humans from say 50,000.
I saw that. What? I saw the glance you gave me, bro.
It wasn't at you.
Years ago were. And this is nicely demonstrated by something that has greatly changed through time, but is now reverting to.
Yo, Loki?
And this is nicely demonstrated by something that is.
I do it.
Oh, she flying shit. I'm pretty sure that's a dude.
No. She's covering her jaunts. Look.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
OD.
You're right.
I do the booga.
That's as close to 4C curls you're getting there, right?
That's what I'm saying. I'd go.
Has greatly changed through time, but is now reverting to how it once was, our heights. It's a common misconception that humans have always been getting taller, and instead, in reality, height has been a wild roller coaster. And for the better part of the last 100,000 years, we've been on a downward trend.
What the heck happened in 0.1 BC?
Yeah, no cap.
Niggas was hooping in that. I ain't gonna lie, niggas was hooping.
Wait, what the hell?
God was in that joke like.
Nigga, hey, I ain't gonna lie. They was hunting a different type of game.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Christ was born with the team jersey on, bro.
Boy, what is you talking about?
It was AAU
and not to mention that while getting shorter, we've also gotten smaller proportionally.
Who's getting
and
shorter?
One of the biggest changes.
Who's getting small?
Come on now.
Who's?
Come on.
Yo, do me a favor. Go like these to the wall, bro.
Come on now.
Who?
Come on now.
Who?
Come on now.
Who?
Come on now. Goddamn.
Who?
Goddamn. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Boy,
come on.
That just because it's you don't mean it's me.
Not seen since 9000 BC. But on the contrary, something that apparently has not reversed yet in any visible ways is our bones, which seem to be considerably lighter and weaker than those seen in the earliest sapiens. Specifically, a team found that the amount of porous bones in recent modern humans might be just 1/2 of what it used to be, with the earliest of our species having bone densities and robustness much closer to what was seen in more stocky homos like the Neanderthals, or even earlier.
Stocky homo.
I think that qualifies as you. Nah, that's crazy.
Wait, be careful with the cord because you're going to stop the stream again, boy. I got you.
They're hominins. And this startling drop has likely resulted in a stark limitation to our power output, as our bones cannot take the stress that they used to, and is likely partially behind the rise of bone-related diseases, like osteoporosis. Now you might be wondering, why has this happened?
No. Spell osteoporosis. Come on, bro. Come on. Don't make us look bad.
Okay. Osteoporosis. Wait, pull it up on your phone. I'm gonna go Osteoporosis. Lock me in. Osteoporosis.
Yeah. Hold on, let me answer this.
I'm continuing. Yep. Close the door.
Especially
you're leaving. Never mind, you're good.
considering that our diet
Bro, osteoporosis. You know what? When you spell it out like that, yeah. Okay.
is now pretty good. And the main suspect behind this development is actually quite clear to researchers, and that is the dramatic difference in
Bro, this big ass camera, like by myself, just feels awkward.
human lifestyles of today versus back
That's
then,
so much
with
room.
two distinct pulses or switches being seen in recent history. The first one again had to do with the adoption of farming, which led to less nomadic hunting, meaning people didn't need to be built for taking down absolute units of animals like they did before, having a much less physical lifestyle.
Oh, that's why we're getting like.
And then the second, much more recent hit to our bones came within the last 100 years or so, as truly sedentary lifestyles have become much more common thanks to 9-to-5 jobs and other functions of complex.
Oh, that doesn't affect you though. That's like people are upgrading because of jobs, but like not upgrading like for sitting on the couch and like watching Twitch all day. So like you're good, you're safe, you're fine. Yo, tell him to get a job.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming, bro.
Long time. It's never started.
You don't feel sorry for your moms? It was just Mother's Day.
That's what.
It was dead just Mother's Day.
What did he get? What did he get?
And you're still in this position.
Absolutely nothing.
Same thing every year. You gave her a hug and some worries, gang.
Stop saying the J word. It scares me. It's too late, bro.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Some ways to be permanent. And I mean this in the sense that everyone all over the world, at all stages, appear to have weaker bones now. And surprisingly, the team didn't even see improvements in groups which were more active. And only time will tell how this trend continues to have an impact.
Okay.
And counterintuitively, while our bones have gotten smaller, our bodies have gotten heavier due to the worldwide increases seen in BMI, which, unsurprisingly,
That's the second time I tried to catch you lacking like that too.
is chalked up to lifestyle changes once again.
Oh, I've seen this. Being this dedicated to game is crazy. I'm
During a flood, what else are you gonna do?
type. Oh, float, actually.
Oh shit.
Again.
No.
And something else which has only gotten worse over time and may come as an alarming surprise is our shrinking brains. Compared to the earliest humans, and especially those from a couple thousand.
What is a reciprocal?
I think I don't know what a reciprocal is.
No.
First and foremost. First and foremost. There's only one way to receive a recip. You know what I'm saying? That is math. I know it is math.
It's a fraction that's flipped, bro.
And years ago, our brains have gone smaller and smaller, and the modern person's noggin is about 12% smaller than the size of one during the last,
Homo erectus. That is a crazy name, bro.
i.e. about 17,000 years ago or so. Additionally, it's thought that our brains have decreased by 100 to 150 cubic centimeters compared to those of earlier humans. Now, this whole dilemma has actually been somewhat of a debate.
Is that what Simba is? No, Simba's a Homo plasticus.
As in 2022, a group had declared said shrinking, and then shortly afterwards, someone else said, no, that's not happening. But then in 2023 and 2024, separate studies came out which have concluded that the shrinking has really happened. Yet exactly when, where, or why remains unclear. But both seem to agree that the biggest decreases only took place in the last few thousand years, while the trend as a whole appears to have been going on for far longer. And some pretty interesting ideas have emerged on why exactly.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. That's low key.
That's your vibe?
That's low key fine. I like if I'm there, I'm there, right? Like I gotta be there. She kind of chopped. She not bad, bro.
I ain't gonna lie.
She's not bad.
Even her like outfit a little hard.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm going.
Exactly this.
I ain't gonna lie, she got that lion on.
That's what, bro. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I'd give her a rock. You know what I'm saying? Like with like some twigs.
Like wedding.
Yeah, like a pebble with like leaves on it. You know what I'm saying? Like a shiny rock though.
That's actually very beautiful.
Like bottom of the river.
With one of the
you would draw some mean wall art for her.
Y'all need girlfriends.
more colorful ideas being the self-domestication hypothesis, which sounds
You look like you're trying to do a Kamehameha, bro. You look like you're doing a Naruto jutsu, twin.
weird, but let me.
You look like you're talking. You look like you stutter in sign language. Imagine stuttering in sign.
Let me explain. Now, you may not know this, but domesticated animal brains are about 10 to 15% smaller than their wild counterparts, possibly due to less threats and them being more tame and social, and thus requiring in general less brain power for stuff normally associated with survival. And so the idea is that this has applied to us as well, with the hypothesis saying that as we built complex societies, it was better to be more docile, which compiled then on top of the new lack of threats, which ultimately resulted in our brains cutting down a size or two. However, the criticism to this is that the timing of when the complex communities arose doesn't line up at all for when our brains actually began to dwindle in size. So most have thrown this idea out, along with the next one, the know-it-all hypothesis, which suggests that as societies began and people started to become more specialized, they no longer need to know how to do everything, and thus again leading to a size reduction.
Because like the ability to learn is low-key an adaptation in of itself, meaning you don't have to put so much power into your brain.
Yeah, because I can see it two ways, right? Because you gotta understand, like, the folk tales, lore, medicines, things like that. That's a strictly
Cheerios calling.
I mean, after all, in modern society, you no longer have to worry about trying to survive a predator attack, or how to hunt, forage, bring down an elephant.
Hey, depending on who you ask, shoot, we surviving more predator attacks than ever. I'm sorry.
You just died, baby. You're so ass. Oh my god.
And so on and so forth. But again, this idea does have a bit of a timing issue between these changes in the brain and the changes in our lifestyle. And therefore, the currently most supported, or rather least contested hypothesis, is energy preservation. Basically, the world of today is much warmer than it was not so long ago. And seeing how our brains are energy burners, accounting for 2% of our body mass, but consuming over 20% of our resting energy, it's possible that they got smaller in order to better dissipate heat and reduce heat output. But again, nothing is conclusive. But regardless of the hypothesis, it's definitely true that our brains have shrunk. So naturally, you may wonder how all this impacts our intelligence. And the answer to that is unfortunately, no one has conclusively said anything on this front. But what scientists have said, or at least wondered about, is how current and future warming temperatures may continue to impact this trend, especially since this time around we also have technology, which has led to somewhat dependence on it, and not so much on ourselves. Which is then to say, if the self-domestication hypothesis is at least partially correct, then things aren't looking too good. And speaking of technology, one thing that's definitely changed is our standard for grooming. Walking
This nigga started animating?
around with an ungroomed bush just isn't socially acceptable anymore.
Depends on who you ask. Because, like me, right? For example, my preference, mow her down. You know what I'm saying? Mow it down. But it's people who are, like, into that. You know what I'm saying? Some people like the bush. Other people like the clean, bald. You know what I'm saying? Others like the joint to look like yo-yo carpet a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit of fuzz.
Above or below the belt. And that's where today's sponsor, Manscaped, comes in.
Oh, that's why it was
In the
animated.
shape as more elongated or stretched out, while now our brains are more globular, so in other words, round. Now, in contrary to previous things mentioned, this does not seem to be a change that is happening right as we speak, but rather something that took place a long time ago, with the current belief being that our brains reach their present shape
Nothing wrong with some jungle exploration is hilarious.
between 100,000 and 35,000 years ago during the late Pleistocene, with earlier sapiens having more archaic, elongated brain cases. And within this rounding trend, it seems that two big changes occurred with our parietal and cerebellar.
I had a homie back at school. His name, his name was Peanut. Like, they took his last name and they turned it to Peanut. I'm not gonna lie. And every time that anybody addressed him, his name, like for example, let's use a random name, Thomas. His name was Thomas Peanut. You don't address him as nothing else. You don't address him as Thomas, and you also don't address him as Peanut. You address him as Thomas Peanut only, bruh. I'm not gonna lie, it's tough for you if you still got this head shape. It's tough for you. Get locks. Get locks. Trust.
Regions, with them essentially bulging out. And
Or
this
afro.
coincidence has led to the idea that globular brains developed to improve the function associated with many positive things, including planning, self-awareness, memory, tool use, motor function, language, and social cognition, among many other things. So basically things we all could probably use more of. In continuing the trend, it does seem that our heads really took the brunt of human changes, as another one which has popped up regards not our brains, but our teeth and jaws. Today, in many societies, strong, defined jaws are seen as a good thing, and perhaps this is because they're becoming more and more of a rarity, seeing that jaws are now smaller than ever before. And actually, Homo sapiens as a whole have been developing smaller jaws and teeth compared to earlier Homo species regardless. But it's only been in the last
Chad, I got a good jaw type shit. Wait, that's no. Well, all right. Let's act like I didn't say that. Let's act like that didn't just come out my. Let's act like I didn't say that either. Let's ignore all of that. Let's ignore all of that. Let's you have an amazing jaw. Okay, yeah. I earned that. No, that sounds crazy too. I ran into that one.
10 to 30,000 years, but the speed of these changes has rapidly picked up. And researchers think that there are a few reasons behind
That's
this.
my fault.
Firstly, in the account of the trend of things getting smaller overall, our jaws have shrunk proportionally. But then, in addition to this, our vastly different diets and
your
lifestyles
jaw
today
is
are major
crazy.
players as well, with special emphasis being on the diet. Thanks to the agricultural revolution, and in recent times the rise of fast and processed foods, diets had never before been made up of so much soft food, leading researchers to think that the lack of harder stuff has made our jaws weaker and smaller. And this has actually been replicated in research by giving animals soft food diets in studies, which have, surprise surprise, found that yes, it did make their jaws shrink. And what's more, is that our ancestors did unsurprisingly not have nice beds to sleep on, just hard surfaces, or at least harder than current beds, which might have actually benefited them, as it would have helped keep their mouth closed when sleeping, which as a result leads to a better developed jaw. And one of the biggest drawbacks of these changes for us has been that while our jaws and teeth have both shrunk, our jaws have done so at a much faster rate, and thus leading to less space for teeth and a massive increase in certain ailments like impacted wisdom teeth, misalignment, and pretty much any other general teeth related issue.
Let's see what type of, okay. Do I have crossbite? I got a slight overbite. I don't have an overjet. Overjet is crazy. I have spacing here. This is spacing. These are spacing.
Issues. And of course, with smaller recessed jaws, you now also have a smaller airway, which in turn can result in a condition
Yo-yo
called
tight
sleep
teeth.
apnea, which is basically where you stop breathing in your sleep intermittently. And let's just say, that's not good. Now fortunately, we are finding some ways to counter this, mainly in adolescence. But if this does freak you out, take a deep breath and chill. And I mean this literally, as that's another thing that has changed in humans of 2025. We've gotten colder. This all started back in 1868, when a German physician stated that the normal human temperature was 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, which then went on to become a cornerstone in medicine. But then, not so long ago, a new study found that this number was not only off, but quite some ways off, finding that actually the normal temperature for humans was closer to 97.9 degrees Fahrenheit. And this led to a question of how the German doctor had been so off, and prompted a study which analyzed 200 years of medical records.
So what?
And the conclusion was,
Oh my god, that dude's lost. You might as well grab those. I ain't gonna lie.
Hey, you know what I'm saying?
Yo, welcome to SC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Humans are evolving backwards.
Okay.
Get my name.
was that not only have humans chilled out, but they keep doing so every year, as they've found that body temps have fallen by roughly 0.05 degrees Fahrenheit every decade. But this brings up the question of why. And we're not 100% sure, but the reason behind this, according to one researcher, is that it's possibly due to our improved living standards. That has in turn decreased the amount of viruses, infections, and diseases that people live with, and thus reducing the total amount of inflammation in people, which in itself is known to raise our internal temps. And seeing that diseases were way more frequent throughout all of human history, including when we first appeared, scientists think that they, too, were considerably warmer than us. So in other words, who knows how hot early modern humans were? Furthermore, the researchers who put out the study believe that due to technology, which is presumably going to continue getting better, we can expect ourselves to become even colder, but by how much is unclear. Now, another massive change, which can definitely be seen as beneficial, is regarding our age. Because as a whole, humans have much longer lifespans than our ancestors. And though it's hard to say with complete certainty how long the first people lived, the lifespan for the entire Paleolithic is often chalked up to be between 22 and 33 years old, or an average of 27.5.
I think I was watching something like maybe Vikings or something like that.
While now it stands at 73.2, so more than 2.5 times greater. And to just put this into perspective, that's pretty much like taking a group of
You beating a baby grizzly bear?
Yes.
Me?
Yeah. This right here.
It depends if I just woke up.
So, it's like, if you just woke up, it's like a win.
Like if I was camping and then like
the
I heard
scenario
it
matters.
and I'm looking and boom, you know what I'm saying? Then it's shoot, got me.
bears, sticking them on an island, and then coming back to just find that they now live to 65 years old. And as you can probably imagine, this change has primarily come from our advancements in technology, which has aided our health and has allowed us to better avoid and conquer threats. However, technology is somewhat a double-edged sword, because it has also brought some changes which are very
It's brought some changes which are very negative.
negative,
I said that before the sentence finished. You're just not paying attention. I ain't gonna lie.
such as poor eyesight from constant screen use, cancer from pollutants, diseases like diabetes and osteoporosis, and many, many more. And ultimately, many of the recent changes in ourselves do boil down
That robot kind of throwing it back. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna cap.
I put a USB in it.
and many
3.0. I ain't gonna lie. You can't even get that jump in 2.
And ultimately, many of the recent changes in ourselves do boil down
You see the way that jump?
It is
to recent technological and cultural developments.
got ports.
But
Wait, hold
one thing
up,
that did
bruh.
not is diversity, specifically phenotypic diversity. The first humans were likely much less diverse in appearance and traits than we are now, seeing that they, 1, lived in a much smaller area, 2, had smaller populations, and 3, lived in environments
Yeah, that's what they were looking for.
that were more homogeneous. But then, some tens of thousands of years ago, or possibly even longer, certain groups finally decided to take the leap out of Africa, likely spurred on by climate change and droughts, and thus beginning an explosion of phenotypic diversity due to new and varying environmental.
He said we need some grass desperately.
Did y'all see
We don't smoke.
at all?
Yeah.
Did you see the new update?
New update on what?
Gingers are black now.
Huh?
Oh.
Oh yeah, because their
Yeah,
hair. That melanin
yeah.
is the reason their hair is.
Yeah, gingers are black now. They could, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like
That's-
Spencer
that's-
Screen
I'm
back?
not letting- that's why they was saying that.
Yeah,
I'm not letting-
I've been getting called nigga all day.
I thought, oh, bro, I thought it was just cause like we already thought they was black, so niggas just.
I ain't gonna
started
lie. If Ed Sheeran coming here talking about what's up,
I told you Ed Sheeran, bitch. The way he said, I told
rolling.
you,
He got
I was
that-
on the
hey,
shit.
He got that shit do, badu.
Yeah,
but that one
come
song,
on.
he got that, yeah, you don't got that
I
one
tried
song.
to tell you, bro.
You
I
got
tried
that
to
one
just
tell you.
invited.
Yeah.
Mind you,
Yeah.
neither,
I
not
tried
a
to tell
single
you,
one. Neither of these two are African American.
This
By
nigga's
the way,
Mexican.
Groups would go in to populate every other
French ass.
continent on Earth,
Welcome.
-1, where in the presence of very different environments, developed adaptations that weren't seen prior. And then to add on to this, the Earth overall has undergone some pretty big changes in just the last 3
Bro, imagine being alive during Pangea.
And you just feel the jungle, you just, oh, shit.
Bro, try to move without like moving your feet. Like you just chilling and like. Sure, you didn't do it too, bro.
That nigga went the wrong
I did,
direction.
I went that way.
Yo, imagine
I
you
saw
just
it.
chill. Imagine.
But no, that was actually
I
realistic,
think
though.
that makes sense. Yeah, cause go one way. Oh, go that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Hell nah.
300,000 years, including the last glacial maximum, which again brought pressure upon humans and thus more adaptation. And all this combined resulted in changes in evolutionary pressure on certain traits. One of the more obvious and well-known ones is pigmentation, as in areas with less sunlight, lighter skin developed to better allow the penetration of UV rays, and thus
Ain't
improve
no
vitamin
rays in
D
my shit.
synthesis. Meanwhile, some propose that eye color too has been impacted by sun levels, as certain researchers found that blue eyes, for example, became a thing as it increases intraocular light scattering, which in turn suppresses melatonin, and perhaps reduces the increased rate of depression seen when someone lives in a northern latitude and experiences shorter days. And then on top of skin color and eyes, straight hair popped up in some groups for heating purposes, as it allows for hair on the neck and scalp, which in turn helps keep the area warm
Like moist critical.
and allows cold moisture to be removed more easily. Also regarding the eyes again, the epicanthic fold seen among Eastern and Northern Asian populations has been touted by some as being an additional adaptation for protecting the eye from forceful snowfall and helping to
That shit is not protecting against snow, bro.
What?
Asian eyes, that protects against snow?
Asian eyes?
How does that keep snow out of your eyes? Wouldn't specking in the longer eyelashes be better?
You would think we would have, like, there'd be more black people with Asian eyes to protect you from the sun. You know what I'm saying?
Huh.
You would think.
Yeah. We got long lashes though.
That is true, but you feel like, you know, the sun, you be
No, I feel like
squinting.
long lashes are more effective. No?
I feel like squinty's more effective. Right? And we be in the sun, you gotta squint in the sun, like, god damn, this is beaming. You gotta squint. So how did we not evolve to having, like, you know what I'm saying? How did the Asians get it because of snow, but we couldn't get it because of sun?
Because it's sand.
Sun.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like
I said sand.
maybe
I
it's
said
like
sand.
Yeah, that was bad. Maybe it's like blowing so like the snow can't like land on your eyes.
Oh, so they squinty more
On some
and
shit.
then it evolved.
Yeah.
Into, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I can see
Maybe
that.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Smaller target. That's racist.
diminish the amount of sun glare that one experiences. And honestly, just regarding our overall heads, we
Oh, it's because the sun reflects off the snow. That's why their eyes are smaller. That's the sun glare. The sun glare. The sun glare. The sun glare.
yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
see various adaptations in each and every group, which has helped them better to adapt to their environment, resulting in some people having flatter faces, different nose shapes, body builds, and so on. Now, a lot of the traits that I mentioned are seen across massive populations of people, but then we also have those that are very specific. Take the Sama Bajau, for example, a group native to maritime Southeast Asia.
That was Indonesia, bro.
Bro, I thought it was Lagos. Because the Lagos got that same floor plan.
Calling a calling it a whole island a floor plan is absolutely
Plan C with
insane, bro.
684 square
Who
feet.
typically live a seaborne lifestyle and have developed traits to aid them in it. Namely, their spleens are much larger than normal, being about double that of those seen in their neighbors. And while not necessary for survival, because yes, you can actually live without your spleen, spleens do store oxygenated blood, which definitely helps out if you're trying to hold your breath for long periods of time.
That's crazy.
And coincidentally, many marine mammals in general tend to have enlarged spleens, and the Bajau people on average can hold their breath for up to 5 minutes while diving down, which just for perspective is about 5 to 10 times
Go to my
longer
breath for the rest of this video.
You think? I said, when I was swimming in that hole, you know what I'm saying? 10.
You cannot talk and not breathe at the same time at all, bro.
That's not breathing, nigga. What are you talking about?
You wasted,
Exhale is not
you wasted
breathing.
air.
I know.
than the average human. And then in a somewhat similar situation, groups
Oh, let me. All right. How many more seconds?
For what?
2 more minutes. All right.
that live in high altitude, like Tibetans and Andeans, show traits designed for living up in the mountains where there is less oxygen, resulting in traits allowing them to survive in this environment, including showing adaptations to their hemoglobin, decreased resting heart rates, and increased lung capacity. And what makes this all more fascinating is that most of these features are seen even in people.
Why'd you do that?
God damn.
Bro, I had like at least 20 more images.
No, I OD had time. It's just I started laughing.
Look at all that, like,
I started.
Group that don't end up actually living in higher altitudes. So in other words, they're built different. However, with all that said, phenotypic diversity is also substantial, and genetically arguably greater, among populations that remained in Africa. In fact, the continent contains the highest levels of human genetic variation than anywhere else on the planet, and evolutionary pressure here is very much alive and well, just like the rest of the
That's so crazy. Yeah, the difference in like Africans is insane.
yeah,
bro.
yeah, you got the most genetic.
Like
yeah.
that is actually
Diversity.
wild, bro.
Yeah.
world, and has continued to drive significant adaptations even within the last 10,000 years. One such example is the sickle cell trait, which alters red blood cell shape to offer protection against malaria. And this trait is found at rates of between 10 to 40% in Western Africa, despite it only having evolved some 7,000 years ago or so. Now, with this all said, it is also highly likely that the earliest humans had their own fair share of odd features based on their environment, climate, and genetic pools. And speaking of genes, that's a whole other area we could talk about, as ours are certainly quite different and always changing. Off the bat, more genetic diversity exists now than ever before, due to the massive increase in human population.
Do you think mixed people have played like a role in that, or do you think like Wait, do you think the amount of mixed people has increased in the recent years or no?
1,000%.
1,000?
But
So do you think that plays a role in like what he's saying right now currently?
100%.
Well, I've increased the mixed population by at least 20.
Well, then additional factors like Neanderthal DNA and other extinct human
That was just too quick. I'm very proud of you, bro.
admixture all just go to further increase the diversity of our genomes. And so with all these factors taken into account, you can probably understand why overall, we are surprisingly different than the people who walked the earth 300,000 years ago. And perhaps poetically, it is change itself that is the last thing to talk about, because even how we change is different today than it once was. Never before has an animal been able to use technology to seamlessly spread out across the entire world and basically inhabit any climate it wants to, while simultaneously using technology in pretty much every other part of their lives as well. And honestly, it's basically impossible to tell how our dependency on technology will have a long-term impact on our future.
Evolving from hunter-gatherer to AI girlfriend is actually insane, bro. Like,
He's gonna hunt and gather some way.
yeah, that's ridiculous.
Especially when considering that the craziest developments have only started happening not so long ago. But I guess we'll see and cross our fingers for the best. And just for good measure, let's cross them tightly. Thanks for watching, and until next time on ExtinctZoo.
Hey, man,
stop devolving, man.
you know what I'm saying? That's
Read
going to
a
be the
book.
video. Hope you guys liked it. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.